YouTube and Pipers and YTPC. How you all doing? Well, it's been a while since my Christmas ghost story video. Sorry about that. I had a terrible flu, really nasty one. Wasn't COVID, but it knocked my pipe out, so to say, as we say in English. I wanted to catch up with the many videos that I've got in my mind, and this one is dedicated to the Wilkie sisters. You all know about Wilkie tobacco, of course, and I did a previous history, the early history of Wilkie, and on the website, of course, John Brandt has got a summary of that, and these are all links below, and my original video about the history of the Wilkie family, all the way back to John Surbrock, who was the Swiss guy, started the tobacco business. But this is how it goes with me. I wanted to have a Wilkie pipe and smoke it with my Basil Rathbone Wilkie 515 blend, which is one of my very favourites. 4 stars out of 4 stars for a rum blend. It's absolutely excellent, and the rum cake is also very good with Wilkie. That's a bit sweeter, but this one has floral notes and it's very good. And this is one of the few blends that I've deep cellared to make sure I won't probably ever run out of it. So the pipe I ordered from Carol Burns and VT Pipes, link below, and I thought it will arrive easily in Christmas. Unfortunately it got lost, and it was rediscovered, and she sent it again, and it finally arrived about 4 months later or something, you know, but that's the post. That can happen. And I'm at the moment in the Shed of Serenity back at our main place, and the light is already fading as we approach 3:30. So I took some photos of this, but you see it's a nice Dublin. It's a very lovely grain, a flame grain, a large bowl for those days when in fact small bowls were more normal. I'll come on to the dating of this pipe. So Carol put a new stem on here, and I had to clean the little rim because there was a bit of char there, but that's easy with a Dremel and a bit of carnauba wax, and now it's really nice. Unfiltered, of course, but I've got a Sharrow pad in the bottom and a little paper filter here, so that will do. And it's such a lovely blend that you know, you can enjoy it also unfiltered. The lighter today is a Pioneer, which is a competitive, I don't know if you can see, Pioneer, that's like a Zippo of the 50s, and appropriate for this topic today, because we're talking about 50s, 60s and even way earlier, about the Wilkie sisters. See? Perfect condition because I bought it at this shop in 1934. So, I've got a lot of notes because it's a bit complicated, but here's some shots of this pipe in better light. So it all started when I was trying to ask Carol when was this pipe made. She took over the shop 1983 with Elliot Nachwalter, her partner at that time, and she said Elliot of course was a pipe maker. And she said, no, this is from earlier, it's pre-1980. Then of course I thought that's not enough, I need to have a decade at least to understand it. Now, in the pictures you saw the stamp, and it's E. Wilkie and underneath NYC, New York City. And I went to the forums, and several of them said those are the later pipes, the ones that have E. Wilkie on the same line like this. The older ones from the 50s and 60s have it on the same line, and maybe the late 60s or the 70s are E. Wilkie on top of NYC. So that's an indication. The other thing is, who made this pipe? At that time in the 60s and certainly the 70s, a lot of pipe shops were getting so-called private label pipes. In other words, they were made somewhere in even Europe, in London by Comoy or an organisation like Weber, for example. Now I looked at Weber, and I've got a Weber pipe, and I compared to this one, as you see here, and the Weber ones were smaller, typical of that time, small bowls, and this just doesn't look like one of the Weber pipes. It's an unusually large bowl. So there was actually an Italian pipe maker who worked for the Wilkie sisters, and his name was Joe Cardigan, and somebody in the forum said he made big bowl pipes, but Art Deco style, so that it's a large bowl, but maybe, I don't know if he made this. So that's one possibility. And the other thing is, if I look at Comoy pipes or GBD, they did a lot of private label work, and it's quite possible that this is from the style rather like a Comoy pipe, because the grain is good quality. You know, it's obviously a capable pipe making organisation. There's no other print apart from E. Wilkie NYC, so it doesn't say imported briar or anything like that. So that's probably as near as I can go. It might be something like a Comoy private label pipe, maybe late 60s or the 70s. And that's so far as I can go with it. Another pipe maker called Steve Johnson, and he did very very high-end pipes, large pipes, at the concession at Wanamaker in Philadelphia, which was selling also there Wilkie pipes, but I think this is not his style, and you know, it's too modest and too simple for the carvings he was doing. If you find one of Steve Johnson's pipes, they're usually a bit more expensive, because they're really very top-end carving, and they have usually a stamp on it, handmade, with his name, and sometimes even a number stamp. So of course, looking around about the Wilkie sisters now, in my 1934 time jump, I actually met Louisa Wilke, 1934. Now that video I took off because I was trying to clean up even indirect copyright things, and since then I've realised actually why do that, because YouTube puts advertisers on every video even if you're not monetized, and my channel, I've decided it's not worth it, it's not monetized. So I will reload that video in 2 parts about that time jump, because it's incomplete to do this now without that. So watch out for those videos, they will be marked reloaded, and that will give you the old aspect of the visit to the shop. The shop was 400 Madison Avenue, 48th Street in Manhattan, and Louisa and Anna were working in the shop. They had a younger sister, but she got married and never, I don't think, in later years worked at the shop. All of this history I looked at, certificates and census information, to make sure I got it all right and it was all consistent. And I found by chance this photo of Louisa Wilke in the shop in 1937, just 3 years later, and absolutely looks totally the same. Now, she was born in 1901 and she was then 36, and she looks not a day over 25. She was a very youthful looking woman for her age, and for those times you have to realize when somebody was 60 they looked almost to the eye of today like 70, but she was very youthful, and I was amazed that photo was used in an article in 1937, and the back side of that photo was this, which basically said this is the photo going to that article in the New York World Telegram. And I tried to find that edition. All the websites even the Library of Congress, and I could not find that article about this pipe shop. If anyone knows where to get that article in the New York World Telegram 1937 October edition, I think it was the 10th of October to be specific. I couldn't find it. I would love to read that article. There's a couple of articles about the Wilkie sisters, which I couldn't find with all my research. That was an amazing thing. I found another photo of Louisa Wilke from 1946, Christmas gathering. She was then married, and here as it is. And I find it fascinating. I must have been partly a historian in my genes, because I get drawn in to curiosity. That's also a scientific trait that you always find that's interesting, and you go deeper and deeper. And the most amazing thing is, by chance also, I found a video, a little film clip, 1954, featuring the Wilkie pipe shop, and it was obviously some kind of early television or cinematic newsreel talking about the Wilkie sisters, of the last ones who are doing blending, and two women. I put the link for this video below, so have a look at that. It's amazing. Louisa is there in 1954. She was 53, and still working at that shop all those years with her sister Anna. And that shop, at least the place where it was, the building is still there. Madison Avenue 400 is a historic building, offices and shops, and I'm pretty sure today that the shop is Blue Forest Farms here. You know why? Because if you look at that video in the bucket, you'll see the lovely brass hydrant on the wall, bottom right, and the ventilation grid on the top right of that video in the bucket. And there in these photos. Also, this location is close to 48th Street, which is part of the address of the Wilkie shop, so I think it's there and not the other end of the building, which was near to the 49th Street. So there it was, all those years ago, and this pipe was in that building, in that shop at some point, sold, and probably was smoked and went to an estate and found its way to Carol Burns and found its way to me. It's just amazing to see all this history and all the work, and the gratifying thing is the pipes are still there, and Ron Brandt is doing the blends still to this day, which is wonderful. So you know, sometimes it's sad when you get near to the characters that you're investigating, to think they're gone, you know, but still some things remain, like that film clip. Do have a look at it, it's really fascinating. So I've mentioned this Rathbone Wilkie 515, and that's in my Rathbone video. This is also linked below if you want to look at that, and I talked about this wonderful blend. And I've got maybe 5 or 6 blends that I deep cellar. Sir Walter Raleigh aromatic, you all know about that, but this is one of them that I want to have at least a pound or 2 of this wonderful blend. It's Cavendish and Virginia, and it's Jamaican, fine Jamaican rum. And it's absolutely exquisite. And I find the 515 is, I like sweet blends like the rum cake from Wilkie, but this is more sophisticated. It's got a floral back note and a little bit of less sweetness, but the rum is absolutely there with a kiss of vanilla, and it's absolutely gorgeous. Comes reasonably moist, but a little bit of drying, you know, half an hour or 15-20 minutes helps. And it's of course no bite or no harshness at all. Wilkie is one of the very best blenders, I think, in quality. I've never had one Wilkie blend that I didn't like or like very much, or was absolutely blown away like this one. Yeah, there's a couple of mysteries that I'm trying to resolve. Those articles that are in those obscure old newspapers that can't find anymore. And the question for me is, when did the Wilkie sisters leave the shop and pass it on? Some of the forums said there was a Stanley Becker bought the shop, maybe in between, before Elliot Nuckwalter and Carol Burns bought it in '83, but I think there was maybe someone in between, where the maybe late '70s or something like that, the Wilkie sisters stepped out of the business and sold it. But that I would like to clarify. I'm still talking to some contacts to try and find out what exactly happened when the shop was sold. But it's part of really history. It's iconic for me. Wilkie, the tobacconist, so long, and nothing's left. Nat Sherman is gone as well, and I guess there's the international chains like Davidoff, but I'm talking about the original American families that started these things, running tobacconists for more than 100 years, and it made me actually very sad, you know. but the legacy lives on, and our enjoyment of their products, I'm sure they will smile on us enjoying these lovely things. And as Basil Rathbone would do with this lovely blend, I've got a late bottled vintage Berry Brothers from St James Street in London, 1 minute from my club, to toast the Wilkie sisters, Anna and Louisa. Here's to you, my dears.